Good morning, everyone. I'll call the York County Board of Commissioners meeting for October 15th, 2025 to order. It's great to see veteran friend David Copenhaver, who's going to lead us in the pledge, and Reverend Keith Fair from St. Matthew's Lutheran Church to lead us in invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear God, we give you thanks this day for life, for community, for work, all gifts of your grace. As we enter into work together, we ask for your blessing and guidance. Help us to see the faces of those who are touched by our decisions and choices. Help us to hear the hearts of those with whom we disagree and wrestle and discern your will. Help us to trust in your goodness as we seek to serve you, your people, and your world.
Amen.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 2 on the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the October 1st, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We'll pass it over to Mr. Dahl for his report.
All right, good morning. I have several items I'd just like to point out. First, we have items 8, 9, and 10. And our good friend Kennetha will be talking about that here in just a moment. We also have items 12 and 20 that are related to the urban Wi-Fi project. Just wanted to make note of this because it is a very important project and it is moving along. It's going to benefit our community and especially our students in so many different ways. And last but not least, items 11 and 25 are motions for Brooker French Fries and Susquehanna Radio. They participate in our Christmas Magic, the lights at Rocky Ridge, and want to give a shout out to Teddy Fisher and his team for all the good work that they've done. This is going to be a great year for Christmas Magic, and excited. I know my family, we tend to go. I don't think we've missed many years over the last probably 15. So that'll actually, I think November 28th is the date that they'll open.
Not to put you on the spot, but do you know when the tickets will become available?
That's a good question. We're actually finalizing some details on that because we hope to be able to offer not only tickets for Rocky Ridge, but another set of tickets to our community for another great event. I don't want to say what it is because we don't have those details confirmed.
Okay.
So, but it should be good for our community.
But as soon as we know, we'll post that on the website?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Okay. All right. So, Kennetha, would you mind coming up to talk about 8, 9, and 10?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dahl. My name is Kennetha Hansen. I'm with the York County Economic Alliance, but today I'm wearing my York County Industrial Development Authority hat. Before you today are 3 requests for next generation farmer loans on behalf of 3 applicants who are looking to purchase farms in various municipalities in York County. The Next Gen program is a private program with a public twist. It's federally authorized but accessed locally as well as at the state level. So there are various approvals that are needed. But it is private debt. In these cases, the next generation farm loans will be from banks. But because the applicants qualify as federally defined first-time farmers, they can borrow at a lower interest rate. And I'm before you here today because the federal tax code does require highest elected official approval of the issuing entity, which is, in this case, the Industrial Development Authority. So be happy to answer any questions that you have. The most important thing, or one of the most important things, this is non-recourse debt to the county as well as to the IDA.
Good.
maybe you could explain what non-recourse debt is for the folks watching in case they don't know. Maybe you could explain what that means to the folks
Oh,
watching.
so non-recourse means that the debt is not a direct obligation or indirect obligation of the county or the Industrial Development Authority. So there's no risk. There's no risk. Thank you.
Yep, no, thank you. Any questions for Kennetha? So again, that was number 8, number 9, and number 10.
Okay.
Okay,
That concludes my report.
okay. I will open it up for any public comment as relates to items on the agenda. Hearing and seeing none, we will move, whoops, wrong way. Move on to new business.
Madam President, I move to adopt items number 1 through 29 on this morning's agenda as presented.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, there were no executive sessions since our last meeting. I do have some comments to make under other business regarding the state budget impasse we'd like to share on behalf of the board here. So I'd like to share a few words regarding York County's financial position and the ongoing state budget impasse that continues in Harrisburg. As of today, the taxpayers of Pennsylvania have now gone 107 days without an approved state budget for the current fiscal year. As a result, school districts, counties, municipal governments, and nonprofit organizations have effectively been left out in the cold with their state funds literally frozen. This includes payments that fund essential programs such as mental and behavioral health services, children, youth, and services, intellectual disability support, drug and alcohol treatment, and services for our older Pennsylvanians. Some counties across the Commonwealth have been left with nothing but bad options: lay off staff, reduce services, or borrow money. But here in York County, we've been fortunate that we have not had to make any of those hard choices. Due to our fiscal discipline and our responsible stewardship, we have been able to keep our commitment to the most vulnerable citizens during this protracted state budget. We have kept our commitment to funding our human services from the county's funds at a cost of $10 million per month. This is simply not sustainable, and more importantly, it is not right. Counties are required by law to fund essential human services. We are also required by law to collect and remit fees to the state. Yes, that's right. While the state can freeze funding to counties due to a budget impasse, counties still have to pay the state. When the people of this county pay fees, costs, and money to our various row officers, such as the Recorder of Deeds, the Clerk of Courts, and other county offices, a portion of that money is earmarked to be remitted to the state. In total, York County pays $44 million each year to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in fees collected. And while the state continues to see a steady flow of fee payments from York County, our local taxpayers are left holding the bag. We have a responsibility to safeguard taxpayer dollars and ensure every cent that we send to the Commonwealth is serving the people. The people of York County deserve to know that their hard-earned tax dollars and fees are serving the interests of the public and not just earning interest in a treasury fund. Right now, we have no such assurance that the people's interest is the priority. Instead, the budget impasse in Harrisburg has left counties and local taxpayers in a fiscal limbo caused by bureaucratic uncertainty. York Countyans are already starting to feel the pain of Harrisburg's budget mess, and our local taxpayers are getting squeezed. The failure of the governor and General Assembly to approve a state budget is simply pushing the pain down to the local level, and it will inevitably cause local taxes to go up. The cost of shifting the burden to counties year after year is not included in our budgets. If the state cannot or will not meet its budgetary obligations, counties will have no choice but to raise taxes to make up for the shortfall. In York County, our strong financial management and fiscal stewardship has allowed us to hold the line on taxes. In fact, we have gone 3 straight years without a tax increase, and we even cut spending by $4 million last year. But thanks to the state's inability to approve a budget on time, nearly every year, those days of no tax increase budgets are likely coming to an end in 2026. While we're not there yet, it's coming soon. Meanwhile, counties should not be held to a different standard than the state. If the state can't pay the counties should not be required to remit their fees to the state. York County taxpayers should not see their money disappear into a bureaucratic black hole that's operating without a budget or a plan. Once again, on day 107, without a state budget, we implore our elected leaders in Harrisburg to finish the job and get a budget done. The taxpayers of York County and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania deserve a properly functioning state government. Indeed, we expect it. Thank you. Okay, I'll open it up for any public comment.
Paul, resident of the city of York, and I'm very glad to hear what Ms. Wheeler just said a moment ago. The fact is that in D.C., 20% of the federal budget goes strictly to the interest of the national debt without one penny to the principal. It's important that we take every single politician from the White House to the lowest official to be elected with scrutiny, regardless of party. That's why I take election integrity seriously and couple it with the immigration problem in this country, which affects your county, not just other places. The fact is Elon Musk, who himself is an immigrant, said the reason the illegal immigrants are here is to flood the voting booth and then have occur what happened in 2020, where the election was stolen. And then when anyone questioned anything about it, they're told to shut up, or they're mentally ill, or just get over it, you lost, and stuff like that. And now we have judges at the state level who, thanks to the Republican Party of York County, are encouraging voters to make sure that they don't get another 10-year term to be in office. So I would just encourage people that we should be grateful for the fact we're in America. We're in the state of Pennsylvania, where we can actually get a chance to speak to Ms. Wheeler, Mr. Burford, Mr. Hoke. But the fact is, there's a lot of people in this country who don't appreciate it. And I would recommend, if you go on YouTube, on Curtis Sliwa, there was an Asian American by the last name of Chan, who said there's a lot of people in this country who think everything's free. And he said it better than I ever could, and you can see why he's an incredibly ultra-successful businessman in the city of New York, in spite of the lunacy up there. And God help us if that man doesn't win mayor of New York City. It matters who's in charge, what they do, how they do it. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Hearing and seeing none, if I could have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned, and we will move on to salary board.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the October 1st, 2025 Salary Board meeting as submitted.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I will open up for any public comment as relates to items on the agenda. Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to item number 4.
I make a motion to approve the positions, salaries, hours of work, and fringe benefits as provided by existing collective bargaining agreements or as set forth in the York County Employee Handbook or York County Policy Manual for the following departments and row offices as stated below, with no additional benefits or concessions unless otherwise noted, and there is listed in the agenda.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. There were no executive sessions since our last meeting. I'll open it once again for any public comment. Hearing and seeing none, if I could have a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned, and we'll move on to retirement board.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from September 17th, 2025 Retirement Board meeting as submitted.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I will open it up for any public comment as it relates to items on the agenda. Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to new business.
I'll make a motion to approve the following individuals on the October monthly annuity payment list as listed below.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Welcome, Lee. Good to see you.
Good morning. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, the report that you normally see in the book, that is through the end of August. That was prepared for our meeting about 2 weeks ago, but I've been able to update now through the third quarter for you. So that's great. So
that worked out great then.
yeah. So what I've done is in the back, there's a piece that's clipped to the report that mimics what I'm going to show you on here. We won't go through all the pages, but I'm mindful of your time. But that's what we'll work from if you want to follow along with the hard copy. So you got the.
Yep, I got it.
Yeah, there we go. So just quickly, just a quick couple of minutes on just what's occurred in the markets in the second quarter and actually through today. And then we'll look at the pension OPEB and your 457 plan. So no surprise, as I said at the last meeting, expect when GDP comes out for the second quarter, it's going to be a strong number. Just because you're basically going to see a reversal of what occurred in Q1. So in the first quarter, you remember, GDP was negative because everyone was sort of front-running the tariffs, so bringing them a lot of inventory. So that was not as so that was obviously a headwind for growth. And then in the second quarter, you saw a big reversal of that, and that is because we already got a lot of inventories here, so we had a real net export, which was very bullish. So you see there in the report, GDP initially came in around 3%. That has since been revised up to 3.8%. Now, don't expect we're growing at a 3.84% rate. It's not the case. If you look at those bar charts on the top there, you combine Q1 and Q2, sort of in line with what we expect this year, about 1.75 to 2% growth here. As you know, we did start tariffs coming in the second quarter. 27 billion came in June. That does sort of help to offset the debt issue we have. But the big question we were asked during that second quarter in the early part of summer is, why haven't we seen inflation go up? Surely that's what tariffs do. And that little chart at the bottom right there shows you why you didn't see that then. It was because of the front running of the tariffs. All the companies built up inventories, and then you can see during the second quarter that sort of was reduced down, and several companies absorbed the tariffs early in Q3, but they've now been passed on, which is why you've seen inflation start to tick up a little bit again. Actually, if you could go to the next page, sort of leads us to that. CPI came in at 2.9, the last print that we saw, which was up slightly. However, the good news is service inflation is coming down now, and that's been the stickiest part of inflation for a while. But if you pull out the energy and the more cyclical food, you have what's known as core CPI. That has ticked up above 3 again, 3.1%. So we don't expect it to continue to go up. We expect it to be a one-time little jump. I hate to say the word transitory, but that's what we expect on inflation, with inflation then coming down again next year. And then the final point on the economy that obviously the Fed is laser focused on, and I think even more so than inflation, is the labor market. And the labor market has been very strong. over the past few years, but we are starting to see softer numbers now over the summer here. Not so much in the layoffs, more in the new job starts. The labour market's pretty stagnant right now. There's just not a lot of folks moving or looking for work. They're staying with the safety within their own businesses. So what we expect here in 2 weeks from the next Fed meeting, there's a 90% probability already baked into the market that we'll get another 25 basis cut then. And then the last meeting of the year in December is expectation again of another 25 basis points. So 50 bips this year with the expectation of potentially another 3 cuts next year, which will bring us down to what the Fed are looking at from a neutral rate point of view of around about 2.75. That would be terminal rate by the end of next year. So just to wrap up, what did it mean for indices? The last page of the market environment here. If you could go to the next page, please. No shock when you see a strong GDP print, you're going to see a strong equity returns. You can see US up 11%. Really opposite of what you saw in Q1, which was more the defensive names. Q2 was really a replay of last year. Mag 7 leading the way, predominantly on the back of the AI revolution that train's left the station, that will run. But also, a new term I'll introduce you to is what we've seen over the past 4 months is the unprofitable 858. The total market, the 3,000, about a third of them are actually unprofitable, the companies. And it's more the smaller companies. About 40% of the Russell 2000 is unprofitable. That's the stuff that really went up during the quarter. Good news is, over the past month or two, and you'll see it when we show you Q3 performance, the market is starting to broaden again now, and we saw some great, yesterday and today on the financial side, some great earnings numbers, which is really helping value stocks now too. So the good news is, market's broadening, diversified fund like you benefits from something like that, rather than just a concentrated number of volatile names that run. Non-US side, you can see very strong returns this year. Really a combination of two things. One is the stimulus you've seen, particularly in Europe. We're building out their own defense capabilities and obviously infrastructure, and then the dollar being a lot softer. In fact, that last quarter, that 11.8%, 7% of that was just a dollar depreciation. So in local terms, it was more around about 5%. So it did lag the US quite a bit. On the bond side, you can see we're slightly positive. Rates did tick up in the quarter. If it was 2 years ago when yields were near zero, you would have seen a negative print there. Yields are a lot higher today, which is why even when rates went up, you still see over 1% return from core bonds. So that's good to see for pension funds like yours. And then obviously the more riskier areas, as I said, when you see unprofitable companies run, you're going to see high yield bonds run. You can see up over 3% for the quarter. And then finally, these are not your privates, but more the listed inflation-sensitive assets. They sort of go the opposite where rates go. If rates go up, you'll see a negative return on them. That's what you saw this past quarter. In the first quarter, if you remember, as rates came down, you saw strong double-digit returns in those areas. But that's why we like more the private vehicles for you guys, as you see, posting that 2.5% to 3% every quarter. You don't get that volatility that is impacted from rates. So that's the markets for you. If we go to the next page, just some observations. This is for Q2, but I'll verbalize Q3 too. You ended the quarter over 600 million. If you remember at the last meeting, I said you just went through that benchmark. And the good news is you continue to go north from them. Very strong return for the quarter, about 6%. Did lag your broader policy, 6.8, as you would expect in that low risk environment. But when you combine that with Q1, you're still ahead for the year to date. And even in Q2, being more defensive, you're still above the median, 48 percentile. So again, it just shows the benefit of that diversified portfolio. What worked well for you in Q1 went against you in Q2, that higher quality, the Minvol type investments, and it was more the growth equity and your real assets that led the way. In Q3, you gained another $26 million, and you did have $7 million go out for payments, benefit payments, but you sit at $621 million at the end of the third quarter. So happy to say, as you sit here today, up over 11.5% so far year to date. So again, another year where you're quite a bit above your assumed rate of return already. So that should help funding when it comes. We'll give your asset value to Boomershine, and they'll give you some expectation of what your contribution would be next year. But the good news, as I said, even if things are flat through the rest of this year, you've got a good lot of gains again, which will help keep a lid on your ADC next year. And then more importantly, longer term, which is what your actuary looks at, near 10% returns, top quartile performance with a lot lower volatility and downside capture. It's exactly what you guys need when you've got $7 million going out every quarter. We've got to be focused on risk management. From a fee point of view, you saw my email the other day, Q1, your fees were 42 basis points. We did make some changes that brought it down to 40 bips. And then this summer, we've strongly negotiated fees lower on your alts and on your global managers. It's brought it down to 37 basis points. So as you sit here today, you're paying over $300,000 less in your investment management fees this year than you were at the beginning of the year, even though the fund's bigger. So happy to see that. You've heard me say many times, every dollar that stays in this plan grows and compounds over time to pay those future promised benefits. Your real estate, we turned that dividend reinvestment back on in Q2. Now you're making positive returns there again. And we added some money to TA Realty to bring you closer back towards that target there, which will be a good buffer to hedge if equity markets do go down some. You're back at target in these diversifying assets. Looking ahead, just some of the changes you saw already where we've WCM replaced Artisan. We have got a redemption out of private equity for you because it's done so well, so we're able to trim some of that. And then the aggregate bond index, we'll talk about that with an asset allocation study for 2026. Just a couple more pages on the pension. Next page is just your performance. You can see, as I said, year to date, 27 percentile. Going back longer, you're well above medians there, top quartile, 10 years, 5 years, which is sort of where we'll look. Every quarter, we want you sort of around that median, second quartile. Never want you in the top 10% on one quarter, because then you'll be in the bottom 10% the next quarter, the way that things flip-flop. But being in that second quartile, sort of every quarter over time, that puts you near the top. Next page then just shows activity over the summer. As you know, with the controller's office, we talk regularly. Natasha is like clockwork on us. This is the money that needs to go in this account. This day, you can see all the activity occurs over the summer. There's that 7.1 million out there. And then the final page, this is just the performance. We don't have universities, obviously, yet for the third quarter. It's too early. We will prepare that report when we do have them. But as you can see, there's that year-to-date performance I talked about. And we're up again in October. So all good, I think, pension-wise. I can go through some of the individual funds, or we can move to OPEB. Or are there any questions on the pension?
Any questions for Lee? Okay, we can move on.
Okay, if you could skip me down to page 15, that will be the OPEBs. One more page. There you go. So with OPEB, similar story, just smaller money, smaller fund. Finished the quarter there, $45 million, inching closer and closer to that $50 million mark, which will allow us to diversify the pool a bit more. As you know, there's no flows out of this pool, so it's a little bit more aggressively managed because, the down parts are irrelevant to it, it's just noise. And that's been beneficial to this pool long term. As you can see, made nearly 7.5% for the quarter. It lagged policy a little bit, but it will do, as you know, because it is a bit more defensive-minded. Not as much as the pension, but it does still have more risk, adverse investments in it. Since since Q3, you've added another $2.5 million. You're now at $48 million and 14% year to date. So again, great growth here. And you can see from 5 years, again, top quartile, 9.5% a year. And again, with very low management fees, at just 31 basis points. As you hit the 50 million mark here, we would be able to, if you see the looking ahead there, we would be able to switch you from the listed infrastructure, the publicly traded one that's more volatile, and get you in the JP Morgan one. They will accept 2.5 million for our clients. And as you know, that sort of posts at 2.5% every quarter. So it'd be a little less volatile. So that would be the plan here as we're watching this. As soon as we hit that 50 million mark, we'll get that done. We'll get that transition done for you. And then just the next page, you can see, again, just your performance on this. Again, compared to your peers, well above medians right at the top there. Year to date, top decile, even 1 year, 12% up. So, to say that OPEB fund, and particularly York, you've heard me say this many times, acknowledging that that's a liability, putting a fund there, it's just been tremendous for you, not having to go to taxpayers to, for all of the gains that you've had. Most other counties have to go to taxpayers to go and find that money to pay the benefits. You've got it in a pool, which will provide payments for the benefits long into the future. So that's it on the OPEB fund. Questions on that? If not,
Questions for Lee? They say no.
All right, and we'll finish on the DC. So if you go to page 23, please. Just do the others on this page for you, these 2 pages. I was happy to see as I walked in today, so Empower are here today doing education sessions. And doesn't surprise me, because when you look at your trending rates and, it appears everybody's actively involved from an employee point of view in this pool. Again, strong gains for the quarter, over 30 million now. You're nearly $33 million. This is as of the end of June. There's no update from Empower yet for end of the third quarter. But obviously that will be higher. Again, you'll probably be pushing close to 34 million at that point. There's not been a lot of movement between funds. About 2/3 of your folks are in target date funds, which sounds about right. Just set it and forget it. Those that aren't, you can see the mix of those is about 75-25, which is, perfect. Very similar to sort of like your pension fund, really. 9 of your 12 funds have outperformed over the past 5 years. Your investment management fees, because we're able to get you in all those institutional share classes, because it's an open architecture with Empower, your overall investment fees are just 10 bips on this, because your target date funds are only 8 basis points. So, again, that's great for the employees to be able to access those institutional funds. We do suggest making a couple of fund changes here for 26, sort of putting it in line with changes we've made within the DB plan, switch out the global growth manager, and we've always used Vanguard Minvol, but the MFS fund that you see in the DB plan outperforms by 3 or 4% every year. It just makes sense to have that in there, even though it's a little bit more expensive from a net point of view. It's actively managed and it's done far better. So we would reach out to Empower and make those changes, and they hopefully want to align them for the beginning of the new year. Say trend rates look good. There is that participation rate jump that and 24 that went up to 43 and then came down again to 26. I think that was a reclassification of some folks.
Yeah.
But everything else seems good. And the last page, just to show you one thing I've noticed here, if you look at the bottom part, there's more and more folks reaching out for the advice, the total retirement Empower Give advice. It's over a quarter of the participants are signed up for that now, actually. But it's only about 16% of the assets, and that's not surprising. It's the younger folks that tend to, they're not as educated in the markets as the older folks have been following it over time. But you can see that trend line at the bottom there that I'll finish on. Every quarter goes up, more and more folks sign on to this. So that's good to see. They get in the advice, and that's why the performance has been good. That's as quick as I could perhaps do it, but the funds, so everything appears great. You can see the individual funds in here and everything else. So we have. Thank you.
Final questions for Lee? Thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Okay, there were no executive sessions since our last meeting. I will open it up again for any public comment. Hearing and seeing none, if I could have a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned, and we will have a brief Board of Elections meeting. So I will call the meeting to order, and I will open up for any public comment as relates to items on the agenda. Hearing and seeing none, we'll turn it over to Mr. Schaefer for his report.
Good morning, Commissioner. Yesterday, we started our vote by mail at the counter, where you can request and complete a ballot. That is running both at the Administration Center and at Pleasant Valley Road from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Our logic and accuracy testing has started on Monday. We are making record progress. We're very happy with this, so a special shout out to my operations guys. They're doing amazing out there. Curbside service. You will be seeing ads in the near future. It's going to be October 26th and November 2nd. October 26th is a Saturday. November 2nd is a Sunday. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., both at Pleasant Valley Road and Administration Center. Here, we're going to be right out front on Market Street again. So the reason why we're here today is I'm requesting 4 changes. Lewisberry Borough, we're looking to move from the Borough Building to Lewisberry United Methodist. Springsbury Township 2nd Precinct Commonwealth Fire Company to the Springsbury Township Building. West Manchester 4th Precinct from York Fairgrounds to West Manchester Township Building, and Windsor Township 2nd Precinct, Windsor Manor Elementary School to Windsor Township Building. I do have exact reasons if anybody's interested, but if not, I turn it back over.
Okay, questions for Brian? For those watching who may not know what pre-logic and accuracy testing is, that's where the election staff tests every piece of election equipment that will be used or potentially used on election day to ensure that logic is in fact accurate. So when Mr. Dahl circles in a choice for whatever office he's voting for, that is in fact what gets recorded. So after they do complete their testing, every piece of equipment has a security seal placed on it, and that stays there until the judge of elections opens that machine on election day. So we do that every election cycle. Brian and his staff have to do that. Okay, if there's no questions for Brian, we'll move on to new business.
I'll make a motion to approve the relocation of the following polling places pursuant to 25 PS 2726, and they're as listed in the agenda.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. For voters that vote in those locations, they will be getting an updated registration card, and the website will be updated to reflect the new polling locations. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, I'll open up for any public comment. Hearing and seeing none, if I could have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone, and enjoy the beautiful fall day.